In the early 1980s, deep within the Brazilian Amazon, a small riverside town named São Miguel do Rio Negro welcomed a new physician, Dr. Ricardo Alves. He was young, handsome, and charismatic, with a reputation for compassion. People said he left a high-paying job in São Paulo to serve the poor. Within weeks, he became a local hero. He would visit remote villages by boat, treat sick children for free, and even bring food to elderly patients. Everyone trusted him. Everyone except an old midwife named Dona Celina. She claimed she'd seen him whispering to himself at night near the old cemetery, carrying surgical tools in a black bag. But no one believed her. Not yet. One humid night in 1983, a young woman named Mariana Costa came to the clinic for a minor stomach procedure. She never walked out. Dr. Ricardo told her husband that she'd suffered a sudden internal infection. The body was sealed quickly in a coffin, and the hospital refused to release any report. A few days later, Mariana's family noticed something horrifying. Her body had been surgically opened and emptied of organs. When they tried to confront Ricardo, he had already left town on medical duty. Over the next 3 years, more and more patients disappeared. Most of them were poor villagers, often with no family to ask questions. A nurse named Helena Duarte began to suspect something was terribly wrong. She kept a secret notebook, listing dates, names, and the last times patients were seen alive. One night, she followed Ricardo into the hospital basement and never returned. Her notebook was later found floating in the river, every page soaked in blood. By 1988, rumors had turned into fear. Families began leaving town at night, whispering that the doctor was taking more than just lives. When authorities finally raided the abandoned hospital, they found a hidden morgue beneath the floor. Inside were glass containers filled with preserved human organs, lungs, hearts, eyes, all labeled with the names of missing villagers. On one wall, written in what appeared to be blood, were the words, "I gave them eternity." After the discovery of the secret morgue, Dr. Ricardo was nowhere to be found. The police searched every road, river, and airstrip within 200 miles, nothing. It was as if he had dissolved into the jungle. But strange reports soon began emerging from neighboring towns. A man matching his description was seen offering free medical aid to rural families, moving from one village to another. Those who accepted his help later vanished. One witness, a fisherman, told investigators he saw Ricardo's small boat drifting at night, carrying something wrapped in white sheets, and the faint glow of surgical lamps shining through the darkness. In 1992, almost a decade later, a journalist named Gabriel Montes stumbled upon a sealed government archive marked Confidential Case 413R. Inside were hundreds of photos, autopsy notes, and witness statements all linked to Dr. Ricardo. The files revealed something even darker. The doctor had been conducting unauthorized transplant experiments, attempting to keep organs alive outside the human body for extended periods. Each missing villager wasn't just a victim, they were a test subject. Gabriel tried to publish his findings, but 2 days before his article was due to print, his house mysteriously caught fire. He never made it out. In 2001, nearly 20 years after his disappearance, reports emerged again, this time from Peru. A small mountain clinic was run by a doctor calling himself Ricardo de Luz, Ricardo of Light. His patients claimed miraculous recoveries from deadly illnesses. But when a local priest visited to bless the clinic, he found a locked basement filled with medical equipment coated in blood and jars containing what looked like human hearts still beating faintly. The priest never spoke publicly again. In 2004, a woman named Isabella Vargas escaped from a jungle camp claiming she had been one of Ricardo's patients. Her story horrified investigators. She said she'd been sedated for weeks and woke up surrounded by cold metal tables and flickering lights. Ricardo told her he was close to perfection, that he could now transfer life from one body to another. Her escape was pure luck. A fire broke out in the lab, and amid the chaos, she fled into the forest barefoot. Authorities searched for the camp she described, but found nothing, only ashes and the smell of chemicals. In 2011, a group of documentary filmmakers discovered a half-buried metal box near the ruins of an abandoned Peruvian village. Inside were several VHS tapes labeled simply RA. The footage showed surgical operations performed in dim candlelight, organs pulsing in jars, and a man's voice whispering prayers in Portuguese. Forensic experts confirmed the voice belonged to Dr. Ricardo Alves. One final tape ended abruptly with the camera turning toward the lens, and Ricardo's blood-covered face staring directly at the viewer. Months after the last known sighting of Dr. Ricardo, the trail went cold. Authorities believed he died in the jungle. But in 2013, far to the north in the city of Medellin, Colombia, a new physician appeared, Dr. Raul Andrade, a middle-aged man with impeccable credentials, claiming to have studied medicine in Argentina. He quickly became a trusted figure in the hospital, admired for his calm voice and steady hands. Yet, something about him unsettled the nurses. He never blinked much, avoided mirrors, and refused to discuss his past. What no one knew was that Raul Andrade was just another mask, and beneath it was the same face that haunted the Amazon decades before. Patients began whispering about miracles. Terminally ill individuals walked again within days of Raul's operations. He called his techniques cellular regeneration, but refused to share them with the medical board. His private ward was locked at all times, and only select patients were admitted, all of them with severe organ failure. But soon, families began reporting that their loved ones had vanished after treatment. Raul claimed they'd gone home. The hospital's records, however, showed no discharge forms. A young nurse named Luciana Torres began to suspect something was terribly wrong. One night, she followed Dr. Raul into the basement of the hospital after hours. Through a cracked door, she saw a hidden surgical suite, cold lights, glass tanks filled with reddish liquid, and human organs suspended inside. When she gasped, the doctor turned slowly, his eyes cold and lifeless. He smiled and said, "You shouldn't have come here, Luciana." She fled in terror and filed a report with the police. The next day, she never showed up for work again. Her apartment was empty. 2 weeks later, a janitor cleaning the hospital's old wing noticed a foul smell seeping through a sealed door. Authorities broke it open and found what could only be described as a makeshift morgue. Dozens of corpses lay on metal tables, some partially dissected, others stitched in grotesque ways. On the wall hung medical charts labeled Phase 3, Conscious Transfer. Fingerprints on the surgical tools matched those of Dr. Ricardo Alves, not Raul Andrade. That was the proof investigators needed. Before the police could arrest him, Raul vanished again. Witnesses claimed they saw him leaving the hospital disguised as a paramedic, driving an ambulance toward the outskirts of the city. The vehicle was later found abandoned in a field, the driver's seat drenched in blood, but no body inside. Inside the ambulance, investigators found surgical tools, several blood bags, and a forged passport with yet another name, Dr. Esteban Ruiz. It was clear he was planning to start over once again. 3 months later, after an international manhunt, police finally cornered him in Quito, Ecuador. He was operating a small private clinic under the name Esteban Ruiz, performing illegal surgeries for wealthy clients. When they raided the clinic, they found him mid-operation, the patient on the table, heart exposed, still beating. Ricardo didn't resist. He just raised his blood-covered hands and whispered, "You can't kill me. I've already transcended." He was taken into custody, but what happened next would make headlines across the world. In the new city of Rosario, Dr. Morales adopted a false identity, Dr. Javier Duarte. He presented forged documents, a polished resume, and a charming smile that disarmed everyone around him. The hospital administration, desperate for skilled staff, didn't question much. Within weeks, Morales was performing surgeries again. But this time, his methods became even more disturbing. Nurses reported missing anesthetics, unexplained blood samples disappearing, and whispers of patients who entered surgery and never woke up again. What no one realized was that Morales had built a secret room beneath the hospital's old wing, a hidden laboratory where he continued his gruesome experiments. He wasn't just killing for pleasure anymore. He believed he was on the verge of a medical revelation, In his twisted logic, the human brain could be reprogrammed through pain, fear, and chemical control. The screams that echoed late at night were dismissed as construction noises by those who didn't dare investigate. But Morales' arrogance became his undoing. One night, a janitor noticed strange stains leading to a locked maintenance door. Curiosity got the better of him, and he called the police. When authorities forced the door open, they discovered the hidden lab, blood-soaked tables, surgical tools, and dozens of jars filled with preserved organs. Morales was gone, leaving behind a chilling note that read, "Medicine demands sacrifice. I'll continue my work elsewhere." The manhunt stretched across several countries. Newspapers called him the Surgeon of Shadows. Interpol issued red notices, and terrified citizens reported countless false sightings. For nearly 3 years, Morales evaded capture, moving under different names and performing illegal operations in remote villages. Each time he fled, he left behind mutilated victims, their bodies marked with surgical precision, as if he were still chasing his impossible cure. Finally, in 1982, authorities tracked him to a small border clinic between Argentina and Paraguay. When the police stormed the building, they found Morales standing in the middle of a dimly lit room, surrounded by medical charts and surgical equipment. He smiled calmly, raised his hands, and said, "You can arrest me, but you'll never stop the evolution of man." Minutes later, before they could cuff him, he injected himself with a syringe filled with his own serum, collapsing dead within seconds. No one ever discovered what was inside that syringe. Some say it was poison. Others believe it was his final experiment. Dr. Ricardo Alves may have been captured, but the shadows of his crimes still linger. In the dark corners of forgotten hospitals, who knows how many others still practice his art? Some stories end, but this one never truly did.